Every day you face situations that test your patience, your confidence, your intelligence, and your courage. Some moments are small and ordinary. Some moments are unexpected and intense. Some moments quietly shape the direction of your entire life. Difference between those who struggle endlessly and those who rise above challenges is rarely luck. It is rarely talent. It is almost always the way they think. Your brain is the most powerful tool you possess. It interprets events. It creates meaning. It decides whether you freeze or move. It determines whether you see obstacles or opportunities. Many people move through life reacting automatically. They allow fear to speak first. They allow doubt to dominate. They allow circumstances to dictate their mood and direction. But there is another way to live. There is a way to train your brain so that you respond instead of react, so that you analyze instead of panic, so that you adapt instead of collapse. To outsmart any situation does not mean manipulating others. It does not mean avoiding difficulty. It means developing clarity in chaos, calmness in pressure, strategy in uncertainty. When you train your brain, you begin to notice patterns. You understand your emotional triggers. You recognize limiting beliefs. You replace impulsive habits with intentional actions. Imagine walking into a room filled with tension. Instead of absorbing the stress, you observe it. You think clearly. You speak carefully. You act wisely. Imagine facing failure instead of surrendering to self-doubt. You search for lessons. You adjust your approach. You return stronger. These are not qualities reserved for a chosen few. They are skills that can be developed. Your brain is flexible. It changes based on repetition. Every thought you think strengthens a pathway. Every action you repeat builds identity. This journey is about mastering that process. It is about understanding how your mind works. It is about learning how to guide it when you take control of your thinking. You take control of your direction when you shape your mental habits. You shape your destiny. No situation is automatically powerful. It becomes powerful through your interpretation. If you can train your brain, you can transform fear into focus, pressure into performance, confusion into clarity. This is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming aware. It is about building resilience. It is about strengthening decision-making. It is about cultivating emotional intelligence. The world will always present unpredictable moments, economic shifts, personal setbacks, unexpected change, interpersonal conflict. You cannot control every external event, but you can control your internal response. Control is your advantage. The pages ahead will guide you towards sharper thinking, deeper resilience, and stronger self-command. You will discover how to observe your thoughts, how to regulate your emotions, how to reframe challenges, how to make decisions with confidence. Most importantly, you will understand that the mind is trainable. Just as an athlete trains the body, you can train the brain. And once you do, you will realize that you are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are equipped to analyze, adapt, and overcome. The power to outsmart any situation has always been within you. This is the beginning of unlocking it. Chapter 1. Awakening the power within. Before you can outsmart any situation, you must first understand the extraordinary power that already exists inside your mind. Most people underestimate their brain. They believe intelligence is fixed. They assume confidence is something you are either born with or without. They think resilience belongs only to a rare group of strong individuals. This belief is the first limitation. Your brain is not static. It is dynamic. It evolves with experience. It strengthens with practice. It adapts according to how you use it. Every thought you repeat becomes stronger. Every reaction you practice becomes easier. Every habit you maintain shapes your future responses. You constantly respond to stress with panic. Your brain wires itself to panic faster. Next time, if you respond to stress with calm reflection, your brain learns stability. This is not theory. This is the law of repetition. Imagine a young marks professional named Arjun who has just started his first job. During meetings, he feels intimidated whenever he is asked to speak. his voice trembles. His mind goes blank after each meeting. He criticizes himself. He begins to believe that he is not confident. He tells himself, "I am not good at speaking." That statement becomes his identity. One day, Arjun decides to change his approach. Instead of labeling himself, he studies his reaction. He notices that before speaking, his breathing becomes shallow. His thoughts rush. He imagines judgment. He begins practicing slow breathing before meetings. He writes down key points in advance. He speaks at least once in every discussion, even if it is brief. The first few attempts are uncomfortable, but he continues. After several weeks, something shifts. His voice becomes steady. His thoughts become organized. His fear decreases. What changed? Not the meeting, not the people, not the job. What changed was the training of his brain. Mind responds to repeated exposure and intentional action. Arjun rewired his response through practice. This is the awakening. You must recognize that your current reactions are learned patterns. And learned patterns can be reshaped. Many individuals operate on autopilot. They wake up and check their phone immediately. They react emotionally to messages. They complain about traffic. They criticize coworkers. They avoid difficult tasks. Each repeated behavior strengthens neural pathways. Over time, these pathways feel automatic, but autopilot is not destiny. Awareness is the first step toward change. Start by observing your thoughts without judgment. When faced with a challenge, notice your inner dialogue. Do you immediately predict failure? Do you assume the worst? Do you blame circumstances? Write these patterns down. Seeing them clearly reduces their control. Imagine Mira, who constantly postpones important tasks. Whenever she plans to work on a personal project, she suddenly feels tired. She scrolls through social media instead. At night, she feels frustrated. Instead of calling herself lazy, she decides to observe the pattern. She notices that the project feels overwhelming. Her brain seeks quick comfort instead, so she changes the method. She breaks the project into very small steps. She commits to working for just 15 minutes. She removes distractions from her environment. Gradually, the resistance decreases. The project begins to move forward. Mira did not change her personality. She changed her strategy. Awakening the power within means accepting responsibility for your mental habits. Responsibility does not mean self-blame. It means self-leadership. When something goes wrong, ask yourself, what was my reaction? What belief influenced my action? What can I adjust next time? This reflection builds mental authority. Another important element of awakening is curiosity. Curiosity transforms fear into exploration. Imagine facing a new assignment that feels intimidating. Instead of saying, "I cannot do this," say, "I wonder how I can approach." This curiosity activates problem-solving areas of the brain. Fear activates survival mechanisms. The language you use internally matters. Replace "I am terrible at this" with "I am learning this." Replace "This is impossible" with "This is challenging," and "I can break it downwards." Guide perception. Perception guides action. Your brain also responds strongly to environment. If you surround yourself with negativity, your thinking narrows. If you surround yourself with growth-oriented individuals, your thinking expands. Consider to friends. One spends time with people who constantly complain about their jobs. They focus on problems. They avoid initiative. Over time, this friend begins to adopt similar attitudes. The other spends time with individuals who discuss goals, ideas, and improvements. They speak about books they are reading, skills they are developing, plans they are creating. The second friend gradually becomes more proactive. Environment influences neural reinforcement. Choose environments that challenge you positively. Another example is physical movement. When you exercise, your brain releases chemicals that enhance focus and mood. Even a short walk can reset mental clarity. You are stuck on a problem, step away briefly. Move your body. Return with fresh perspective. Awakening the power within is not a dramatic moment. It is a series of small decisions repeated daily. It is choosing to think deliberately. It is choosing to pause before reacting. It is choosing to practice skills that feel uncomfortable. Many people wait for motivation, but motivation often follows action. Take action first. Confidence builds through evidence. Evidence builds through effort. You want to become someone who handles pressure. Well, you must gradually place yourself in controlled pressure situations. Volunteer to lead a small project, participate in discussions, engage in healthy debate. Experience adds strength. Think of your brain as a garden. If you neglect it, weeds grow. If you cultivate it carefully, strong plants flourish. Negative thinking is like weeds left unchecked. It spreads quickly. Intentional thought is like planting seeds. It requires attention, but yields powerful results. Another powerful tool in awakening is reflection. At the end of each day, ask yourself, where did I react automatically? Where did I respond thoughtfully? What can I improve tomorrow? This simple habit sharpens awareness. Over weeks and months, your reactions become more intentionally. Begin to notice triggers before they control you. You recognize patterns before they repeat. Awakening also involves patience, so cannot expect transformation overnight. Just as physical training takes time, mental conditioning requires consistency. There will be days when you fall back into old habits. Do not interpret this as failure. Interpret it as feedback. Progress is not linear. It is gradual. Key is persistence. Imagine Ravi, who struggles with anger whenever he feels criticized. He raises his voice. After several damaged relationships, he decides to change. He studies emotional regulation techniques. He practices counting slowly before responding. He communicates his feelings calmly. In the beginning, he succeeds sometimes and fails sometimes, but he continues practicing. Months later, his relationships improve. His colleagues trust him more. His family feels safer expressing opinions. Ravi did not eliminate emotion. He trained his response. This is the essence of awakening. Your brain contains immense potential. Potential unused remains dormant. You consciously choose growth. You activate hidden capacity. You are not defined by your past reactions. You are defined by your current decisions. The moment you decide to train your mind, you begin separating from automatic patterns. You become deliberate. You become strategic. You become aware. Awareness is power. This chapter marks the beginning of that transformation. Recognize your mental habits. Accept responsibility for shaping them. Practice small improvements consistently. Inside you is a brain capable of extraordinary adaptability, extraordinary resilience, extraordinary intelligence. Train it, guide it. Once you realize that your mind can be strengthened like any other skill, you will no longer feel powerless in challenging situations. You will understand that every moment offers a choice: react automatically or respond intelligently. Journey to outsmart any situation begins with this awakening, and that awakening begins now. Chapter 2: Mastering emotional control. Emotions are powerful. They can inspire action. They can strengthen relationships. They can push you to protect what matters. But uncontrolled emotions can also cloud judgment, destroy opportunities, damage trust, and create regret. To outsmart any situation, you must learn to master your emotional responses. This does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean suppressing feelings. It means understanding them, directing them, using them wisely. Every emotion carries information. Anger may signal that a boundary has been crossed. Fear may signal that something important is at risk. Sadness may signal loss or disappointment. Excitement may signal opportunity. Problem begins when emotion takes control before thought arrives. Imagine Neha working on a major presentation. She spends days preparing. When she presents her ideas, a colleague interrupts and criticizes her. Approach immediately. Her heart beats faster. Her face becomes warm. Her mind fills with defensive thoughts. She reacts instantly. She might respond sharply. She might embarrass herself. She might create tension that lasts long after the meeting. But instead, Neha pauses. She takes one slow breath. She listens carefully to the criticism. She responds calmly, and asks for clarification, the meeting continues productively. Later, she reflects on the feedback and improves her work. The difference between chaos and composure was one pause. That pause is emotional control. Your brain has two primary response systems. One reacts quickly to perceived threats, the other analyses and reasons. When emotions surge, the reactive system tries to take over. Your body prepares for action. Your voice changes. Your thoughts become narrow. You allow that system to dominate. You may act in ways that do not align with your long-term goals. Mastering emotional control begins with awareness of physical signals. Notice your breathing, notice muscle tension, notice changes in tone. These signals appear before you speak. They give you a window of opportunity. Imagine a man driving home after a long, stressful day. Traffic is heavy. Another driver suddenly cuts in front of him. Anger rises immediately. His first impulse is to shout, but a man has trained himself. He notices his grip tightening on the steering wheel. He takes a slow breath. He reminds himself that reacting aggressively will not improve the situation. Within moments, his anger decreases. He arrives home calm instead of agitated. Single decision protects his peace and his relationships. Emotional control also involves reframing. If someone disagrees with you, it does not automatically mean they disrespect you. If a project fails, it does not automatically mean you are incompetent. Your interpretation fuels emotional intensity. Consider a young athlete who loses a championship game. One athlete feels humiliation and decides to quit. Another feels disappointment but uses it as motivation. The emotional event was identical. The response created different futures. Ask yourself during emotional moments, what story am I telling myself? Is this story helping me or harming me? Changing the story changes the emotional outcome. Another key aspect of emotional mastery is delayed response. When faced with a provocative message or email, avoid responding immediately. Step away, revisit it later. With a clear mind, many conflicts escalate because of instant replies driven by pride or hurt. Imagine Priya receiving an email that questions her performance. Her first instinct is to defend herself strongly. Instead, she waits. She reviews her recent work. She drafts a respectful response, supported by facts. The next day, she sends a composed reply. The issue resolves without conflict. Delay gave her power. Emotional control also requires empathy. When someone behaves negatively, ask yourself what they might be experiencing. A colleague who appears rude may be under pressure. A friend who seems distant may be struggling privately. Understanding does not excuse harmful behavior, but it prevents unnecessary escalation. Empathy expands perspective. The more perspective you have, the less likely you are to react impulsively. Training emotional control requires daily practice. Start small. If someone disagrees with your opinion in conversation, focus on listening rather than preparing your defense. If you feel frustrated in a queue, practice patience. If you receive criticism, focus on extracting value. Each small victory strengthens emotional discipline. Another example involves public speaking, or who fears speaking in front of large groups. Before each presentation, his mind predicts failure. Instead of avoiding opportunities, he practices gradual exposure. He speaks in smaller groups first. He visualizes successful delivery. He practices breathing techniques. Over time, fear transforms into manageable energy. He learns that nervousness does not have to control him. Mastering emotions does not eliminate them. It refines them. Anger can become assertiveness. Fear can become alertness. Sadness can become reflection. Excitement can become focused enthusiasm. Your goal is not to silence emotion. Your goal is to channel it. Also, remember that physical well-being influences emotional regulation. Lack of sleep increases irritability. Poor nutrition affects mood. Excessive stress reduces patience. Taking care of your body supports emotional stability. Healthy routines create a stable foundation. Another powerful method for emotional mastery is journaling. If you write down what you feel, you externalize it. This reduces mental intensity. It allows analysis. Imagine Karan, who often feels overwhelmed at work, instead of carrying stress internally, he begins writing about specific triggers. He identifies patterns. He notices that certain tasks create anxiety because they lack clarity. He starts asking for clearer instructions. His stress reduces awareness, created improvement. Emotional control also strengthens leadership. People naturally trust individuals who remain composed under pressure. If you panic, others panic. If you stay calm, others feel secure in crisis situations. Calm thinkers become anchors. Consider a team facing a sudden deadline change. One leader expresses frustration and blames external factors. Another leader acknowledges the challenge but outlines a clear plan. The second leader inspires confidence. Emotional mastery builds influence. Remember that emotions are temporary. Even intense feelings fade if you do not feed them. When anger rises, avoid replaying the event repeatedly. When fear appears, avoid imagining worst-case scenarios. Continuously shift focus toward constructive action. What can I control? What step can I take? These questions restore agency. You cannot control every situation, but you can control your internal state. Emotional discipline does not develop overnight. It grows through repetition. There will be moments when you react poorly. Use those moments as lessons, not labels. Reflect. Adjust. Practice against strengthens your ability. Over time, you will notice a change. Situations that once overwhelmed you will feel manageable. Conversations that once triggered anger will feel navigable. Challenges that once created panic will invite analysis. This is transformation begins with conscious awareness. Pause before speaking. Breathe before reacting. Think before deciding. When you master your emotions, you remove chaos from your decision-making, and when chaos is removed, clarity emerges. Clarity is the foundation of intelligent action. 2. Outsmart any situation. You must first outsmart your impulses. Emotional control is not weakness, it is strength. Refined it is power guided by wisdom, and once you develop it, you gain a powerful advantage in every area of life. Chapter 3. Reframing every challenge. Life rarely unfolds exactly as planned. Plans shift, expectations break, people disappoint, opportunities close in. Those moments, the situation itself is only one part of the experience. The larger part is the larging. Meaning you attach to it. Reframing is the ability to change the meaning of a situation without denying its reality. It is one of the most powerful mental skills you can develop. 2. People can face the same event and create completely different outcomes. The difference lies in perspective. Imagine a university student named Kavya who fails an important examination. When she sees the result, her heart sinks. Her first thought is, I am not intelligent. I am not capable. This subject is too difficult. If she holds this interpretation, her motivation will decline. She may avoid studying. Her confidence may weaken. Now imagine that instead of labeling herself, she asks a different question. What did this result teach me? Which topics did I misunderstand? How can I adjust my study method? Instead of seeing failure as identity, she sees it as feedback. The next semester, she changes her strategy. She studies in shorter, focused sessions. She seeks help. When confused, she practices more. Sample questions her. Performance improves. The exam did not define her. Her interpretation shaped her response. Remi does not mean pretending that disappointment feels good. It means choosing a perspective that empowers action. Consider a small business owner named Dev. He launches a product after months of preparation. Sales are lower than expected. He feels discouraged. He has two options. He can say the market is unfair. Customers do not appreciate quality. I've wasted my effort. Or he can say this is valuable data. Maybe my marketing message needs clarity. Maybe I need to understand customer needs better. In the second scenario, the setback becomes information. Information becomes strategy. Strategy becomes growth. Ability to reframe transforms obstacles into Stepping stones. Your brain naturally seeks meaning. When something negative happens, it often jumps to worst-case conclusions. This tendency is rooted in survival instinct. The brain tries to protect you from future harm. However, in modern life, many perceived threats are not life-threatening. They are challenges to ego, reputation, or comfort. Reframing helps you respond rationally instead of defensively. Imagine Rohan, who applies for a promotion after weeks of waiting. He learns that someone else was selected. His initial thought might be, "I am undervalued. My effort was ignored." He holds on to resentment. His performance may decline. His relationships may weaken instead. He requests feedback from his supervisor. He learns that while his technical skills are strong, his communication needs improvement. He enrolls in a communication workshop. He practices presenting ideas clearly. He volunteers to lead team discussions. A year later, he becomes the strongest candidate for advancement. The rejection became redirection. Refing also applies to personal relationships. Imagine Ananya, who plans a weekend outing with friends. At the last moment, several friends cancel. She feels hurt. Her first interpretation might be, "They do not care about me." But what if she reframes the situation? Maybe they had genuine obligations. Maybe it is simply poor timing. Instead of internalizing rejection, she chooses to use the time productively. She reads a book. She works on a hobby. She reflects on personal goals. Her emotional stability remains intact. Reframing protects self-worth. Another powerful example involves health challenges. Man named Vikram suffers a minor injury that forces him to pause his regular routine. At first, he feels frustrated. He believes that progress is lost, but during recovery, he discovers new forms of exercise. He reads about nutrition. He develops mental resilience. Injury becomes a teacher. Framing is about asking empowering questions. What can I learn? How can this strengthen me? What opportunity is hidden here? When you consistently ask such questions, your brain begins searching for constructive answers. Over time, this becomes automatic. Negative events lose some of their emotional weight because you trust your ability to adapt. Reframing also builds courage. When you see challenges as growth opportunities, you become more willing to take calculated risks. Imagine a young professional named Ishita who is offered a chance to work on a complex project. She fears making mistakes. If she views mistakes as proof of incompetence, she may decline. But if she views mistakes as part of learning, she will accept. She chooses to accept. During the project, she encounters difficulties. Instead of panicking, she treats each obstacle as training. Her skills expand her confidence. Grouse reframing converted fear into development. Another scenario involves public criticism. Arjun shares his creative work online. Some responses are supportive, others are harsh. He interprets criticism as personal attack. He may withdraw. But if he interprets it as diverse opinion, he can filter useful feedback. He improves his craft. He strengthens emotional resilience. Every comment deserves attention. Reframing also means choosing which perspectives to accept. It is important to understand that reframing does not ignore injustice or serious harm in situations requiring firm action. You must still protect boundaries. However, even during conflict, reframing can guide effective response. If a colleague behaves unfairly, instead of immediately assuming malicious intent, consider the possibility of misunderstanding. Approach the conversation calmly. Seek clarity. State your perspective respectfully. Many conflicts dissolve when assumptions are replaced with dialogue. Reframing also supports long-term thinking. Imagine facing a delay in achieving a major goal. Perhaps financial growth is slower than expected. Perhaps skill development takes longer. Instead of saying, "I am behind everyone else," say, "I am building foundation carefully. Progress at my pace still counts." Comparison often creates unnecessary pressure. Reframing shifts focus from competition to growth. Your brain becomes what it repeatedly practices. You practice interpreting events negatively. Your outlook narrows. If you practice interpreting events constructively, your resilience strengthens. Start small. When stuck in traffic, use the time to listen to educational content. When plans change, use the time for self-reflection when facing disagreement. Treat it as chance to refine communication. Each moment becomes training. Reframing also influences leadership. Leaders who frame challenges as opportunities inspire teams. When economic conditions shift, a fearful leader spreads anxiety. A leader says this is a moment to innovate. That mindset energizes action. Consider a sports team losing at halftime. One coach focuses on mistakes and blames players. Another coach acknowledges errors but highlights strengths and strategy. The second coach instills belief. Belief fuels performance. From Rose does not guarantee immediate victory, but it sustains motivation. Your internal dialogue matters deeply. Replace "This always happens to me" with "What pattern can I improve?" Replace "Nothing works" with "What adjustment is required?" Replace "I cannot handle this" with "I am learning to handle this." Language shapes reality over time. Reframing becomes instinctive. When difficulty arises, you automatically search for growth. This mental habit builds confidence, because you trust that no matter what occurs, you can extract value. Even painful experiences can yield insight. A failed partnership may teach discernment. A lost opportunity may teach preparation. A broken plan may teach flexibility. Life rarely follows straight lines, but reframing helps you navigate curves to outsmart any situation. You must control the story you tell yourself. Events are neutral until interpreted. Your interpretation shapes emotion. Emotion shapes action. Action shapes outcome. By mastering reframing, you insert wisdom between event and reaction. You transform setbacks into stepping stones. You transform pressure into practice. You transform uncertainty into exploration. This skill does not remove challenge. It empowers you within challenge. And once you consistently reframe obstacles, you will notice a shift. Problems no longer intimidate you. They stimulate you. Become someone who searches for possibility, even in difficulty. That is strength. That is intelligence in action. That it is intelligence in action. That may seem. We see me sees. We see me sees. We see sees. You sees. We see sees. We see sees. Proceed well I clad. I'm sukkah sakad I samusa I kapayat I sit I sits a guy to die why that I sit it baited it's spot buzz it's sick it to use it hit up it's it custistic you look at it at the bus I got it sits I don't it does see subjects the is the art of outsmarting any situation through perspective. Chapter for strategic thinking in uncertain moments. Uncertainty is a constant companion in life. No matter how carefully you plan, unexpected events will arise. Markets change, relationships shift, health fluctuates, opportunities appear and disappear. For many people, uncertainty creates anxiety. The mind craves control. It wants guarantees. It wants predictable outcomes. But the truth is, certainty is rare. To outsmart any situation, you must develop the ability to think strategically when the future is unclear. Strategic thinking is calm analysis under pressure. It is the ability to step back, observe patterns, and choose actions deliberately rather than emotionally. Imagine a young entrepreneur named Sanjay who launches a new service. In the first month, customer response is inconsistent. Some weeks bring strong results. Other weeks bring almost none. Sanjay begins to worry. He wonders if he made a mistake. He feels pressure from family and peers. If he reacts emotionally, he might shut down the business prematurely. He might blame external conditions. He might lose confidence. He chooses strategy. He studies customer behavior. He examines which marketing channels perform better. He speaks directly to clients and asks for honest feedback. He identifies patterns in purchasing decisions. Slowly, he adjusts his approach. He improves messaging. He refines pricing. He focuses on the most responsive audience. Within months, stability improves them. Uncertainty did not disappear, but strategic thinking replaced panic. When faced with uncertainty, your first responsibility is to slow your reaction. An anxious mind narrows options, a calm mind expands them. Imagine Aisha working in a company that announces restructuring. Rumors spread, employees whisper about possible layoffs. Some workers immediately assume worst-case outcomes. They complain, they disengage, their productivity declines. Aisha feels the same fear, but she chooses a different approach. She updates her skills. She strengthens professional connections. She documents her achievements clearly. She prepares for multiple possibilities. If she remains in the company, she becomes a valuable asset. If she needs to move, she is prepared. Strategic thinking focuses on preparation rather than prediction. You cannot always predict what will happen, but you can prepare for different outcomes. Ask yourself during uncertain times, what are the possible scenarios? What actions increase my advantage in each scenario? What skills would protect me regardless of outcome? These questions create direction. Another example involves investment decisions. Rav considers investing. His savings markets appear volatile. He feels tempted to either invest everything quickly or withdraw completely. Instead of acting impulsively, he researches thoroughly. He diversifies risk. He consults knowledgeable individuals. He sets long-term goals rather than chasing short-term trends. His strategy reduces emotional swings. Strategic thinkers separate temporary noise from long-term signals. They avoid reacting to every headline. They focus on fundamentals. In personal relationships, uncertainty also appears. Imagine Mira noticing distance in a close friendship. She could assume rejection. She could react with confrontation. Instead, she observes carefully. She communicates openly. She asks if something is wrong. She listens. She clarifies misunderstandings. Friendship stabilizes. Strategic thinking often begins with gathering information before forming conclusions. Assumptions are dangerous during uncertain moments. Facts create clarity. Another key element of strategic thinking is prioritization. When everything feels urgent, you must identify what truly matters. Imagine facing multiple deadlines at once. Instead of attempting everything simultaneously, pause and rank tasks. Which task has the greatest impact? Which deadline is non-negotiable? Which task can be delegated? Clear prioritization reduces overwhelm. Uncertainty also tests patience. Quick decisions driven by fear often create long-term regret. Consider a professional who hears about a potential career opportunity abroad. The offer sounds exciting, but details remain unclear. Instead of immediately accepting or rejecting, he gathers detailed information. He evaluates cultural differences, financial implications, growth prospects. After thoughtful analysis, he makes an informed choice. Strategic patience saved him from impulsive movement. Strategic thinking also requires emotional neutrality. When ego becomes involved, clarity fades. Imagine being challenged publicly in a meeting. Your instinct may be to defend your reputation aggressively. A strategic thinker asks, what response strengthens my position long term? Is silence more powerful than argument? Is a calm clarification more effective than confrontation? Often, restraint demonstrates strength. Another example involves crisis management. During a sudden project failure, some team members panic. They focus on blame. My strategic leader instead focuses on solution. Leader asks, what caused the breakdown? What immediate steps reduce damage? What systems can prevent repetition? By directing energy toward repair rather than accusation, progress resumes. Strategic thinking transforms crisis into controlled recovery. Retraining your brain for strategy involves practice. Engage in problem-solving exercises, analyze case studies, play games that require planning ahead, reflect on past decisions, and identify patterns. As yourself regularly, if I were advising a friend in this situation, what would I recommend? This question creates distance from emotion. Distance allows objectivity. Another powerful habit is scenario visualization before making a major decision. Imagine different outcomes. This succeeds. What will I do next? If this fails, How will I respond if this takes longer? Then expected what resources will I need? Preparation reduces fear. Strategic thinkers also manage energy. Fatigue weakens judgment. Exhaustion increases impulsivity. Protect your sleep, manage stress, take breaks. A clear mind makes wiser decisions in uncertain moments. Your environment matters. Avoid surrounding yourself with constant negativity. Choose conversations that explore solutions rather than amplify fear. Collect insights from experienced individuals, but filter advice carefully. Not every opinion aligns with your goals. Strategic thinking is not about overcomplication. It is about deliberate evaluation. It balances logic with intuition. Intuition often arises from accumulated experience. When you reflect on past situations, you refine instinct. Imagine an experienced manager sensing early signs of conflict within a team. Instead of ignoring subtle signals, the manager addresses concerns. Early prevention is strategic. Waiting until problems escalate reduces options. Strategic thinkers anticipate. Look for early indicators. They adjust before crisis deepens. They also accept that not every variable can be controlled. Flexibility is part of strategy. When conditions change, adapt your plan without abandoning your purpose. Purpose remains steady. Method can evolve. Think of a traveler encountering a blocked road. The destination remains the same. The route changes. Frustration wastes time. Adjustment creates progress. Strategic thinking also involves risk evaluation. Every choice carries some degree of uncertainty. Instead of seeking zero risk, seek calculated risk. What is the potential gain? What is the potential loss? Can I absorb the loss if it occurs? If the answer is yes, and the upside aligns with your goals, the risk may be reasonable. Strategic individuals do not gamble blindly. They assess deliberately. They are neither reckless nor paralyzed. They act with informed confidence. Over time, as you practice strategic thinking, you will notice a shift. Uncertainty will still exist, but it will not intimidate you. Instead of seeing chaos, you will see variables. Instead of seeing threat, you will see options. Your mind will naturally slow down. Analyze, prioritize plans. Habit builds authority over situations. To outsmart any situation, you must think beyond immediate emotion. You must step above the noise. You must choose long-term advantage over short-term comfort. Uncertainty is not your enemy. It is your training ground. Within uncertain moments, you sharpen perception. You strengthen patience. You expand foresight. And as these qualities grow, you become someone who does not merely survive unpredictable circumstances. You navigate them with intelligence. You move through them with intention. You transform uncertainty into opportunity through strategy. That is the power of a trained mind. Chapter 5. Building mental resilience. Life will test you. There will be moments when plans collapse, when effort does not produce immediate reward, when people misunderstand you, when progress feels painfully slow. In these moments, talent is not enough. Intelligence is not enough. Even strategy is not enough. What carries you forward is resilience. Mental resilience is the ability to continue despite difficulty. It is the strength to recover after setbacks. It is the refusal to allow temporary failure to become permanent identity. Resilience is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is quiet determination, repeated daily. Imagine a young woman named Tara who dreams of becoming a civil servant. She studies for months. She sacrifices leisure. She works with discipline. When the examination results arrive, she does not pass. The disappointment is heavy. Friends move ahead. Relatives ask questions. Self-doubt whispers. At this point, two paths appear. One path says, "This is proof that I am not capable." The other path says, "This is one attempt." Tara allows herself to feel sadness, but she does not allow sadness to define her. She reviews her performance. She identifies weak areas. She adjusts her study plan. She seeks mentorship. The next year, she performs better, perhaps not perfect, but stronger. Each attempt builds capacity. That is resilience. Resilience does not mean ignoring pain. It means feeling pain without surrendering to it. Many people mistake comfort for happiness. They avoid anything that feels uncomfortable. But growth requires discomfort. Imagine Rohan starting his fitness journey the first week is exhausting, his muscles ache. He questions his decision. He interprets discomfort as danger. He quits if he interprets discomfort as progress. He continues. Within months, his endurance increases, his confidence rises. His discipline strengthens. Physical resilience mirrors mental resilience. Brain adapts when exposed to manageable stress. Every time you face difficulty and persist, you teach your mind that you are capable. This lesson becomes powerful. Consider a professional named Vikram who presents a proposal to senior management. The proposal is rejected. He feels embarrassed. He replays the meeting repeatedly. In his mind, he can choose to avoid future presentations, or he can analyze what went wrong. He requests feedback. He improves his research. He practices communication. The next opportunity he presents with greater clarity. If success is not immediate, he has grown resilience, turns rejection into refinement. Another example is personal loss. Ananya loses a close friendship due to misunderstanding. She feels lonely. She questions her worth. Instead of isolating herself, she reflects. She recognizes areas where communication could improve. She also acknowledges that not all relationships are meant to last. She invests time in strengthening other connections. She develops deeper emotional intelligence. The loss becomes transformation. Resilience also requires perspective. A single setback rarely defines an entire life, but in the moment, it can feel overwhelming. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? What can this experience teach me? How have I overcome challenges before? Remembering past victories strengthens present courage. Think of a child learning to walk. The child falls repeatedly, yet the child does not conclude, "I am not meant to walk." Falling is part of learning. As adults, we often lose that persistence. We interpret one fall as final failure. Resilience restores that childlike determination. Another powerful element of resilience is routine. When life feels chaotic, simple routines create stability. Wake up at consistent times, maintain healthy habits, continue small productive actions. Even during emotional storms, structure anchors the mind. Amira facing a sudden job loss. Instead of allowing days to drift aimlessly, she creates a daily schedule. Morning exercise, skill development, job applications, networking. The routine protects her from despair. Each small action rebuilds confidence. Resilience is built through small wins. When everything feels broken, focus on what you can control. Clean your workspace. Organize your thoughts. Complete one task. Momentum begins with movement. Resilience also involves self-compassion. Being resilient does not mean harsh self-criticism. It means encouraging yourself through difficulty. You make a mistake, avoid calling yourself useless. Instead, say, "I am learning, I can improve." The tone of your inner dialogue shapes your recovery speed. Harsh criticism weakens. Constructive reflection strengthens. Imagine to students failing a test. One says, "I am stupid." The other says, "I did not prepare effectively." The first identity limits action. The second invites adjustment. Resilience thrives on accountability without shame. Another key aspect is adaptability. Sometimes persistence means continuing the same path. Other times, it means adjusting strategy. If a business model fails, resilience might require innovation rather than stubborn repetition. If study method fails, resilience might require changing approach. Resilience is not rigid endurance. It is flexible strength. Consider a mountaineer climbing toward a summit. If a direct path becomes blocked, the mountaineer searches for alternate routes. The destination remains. The method evolves. Life operates similarly. Resilience also grows through support. Seeking help is not weakness, it is intelligence talking to mentors, friends, family, counselors. Sharing burden lightens emotional weight. No one builds resilience alone. Another powerful story is that of a writer named Arjun. He sends his manuscript to publishers. Rejection letters arrive one after another. First, he feels defeated, but he studies each response. He refines his work. He attends writing workshops. He continues submitting. After many attempts, acceptance arrives. Readers later admire his success. Few see the years of persistence. Resilience is often invisible, but its results are visible. Training resilience requires embracing. Challenge intentionally. Take on tasks slightly beyond your comfort zone. Engage in difficult conversations. Attempt projects that stretch ability. Each challenge expands. Tolerance. Avoiding all stress shrinks capacity. Resilience is like a muscle. It strengthens with use. Another important factor is gratitude. During hardship, it is easy to focus solely on what is missing, but noticing what remains stable creates balance. Even during difficulty, you may still have health, family, skills, opportunities. Gratitude does not erase pain. It prevents despair. Imagine facing financial strain. Instead of thinking everything is ruined, consider what resources still exist: education, experience, networks. These become tools for recovery. Resilience also involves long-term vision. Immediate circumstances feel heavy. Remember your larger purpose. Purpose fuels endurance. An athlete training for a marathon does not focus only on daily fatigue. The vision of finishing keeps effort alive. Similarly, when you connect present struggle to future meaning, you gain strength. Resilience does not guarantee smooth journey. It guarantees continued movement. You will still face obstacles. You will still experience disappointment, but instead of collapsing, you will adapt. Instead of quitting, you will recalibrate. Instead of labeling yourself, you will evolve. Over time, something remarkable happens. Challenges that once felt unbearable become manageable. Pressure that once created panic becomes familiar. Recovery becomes faster. You begin to trust yourself. Trust is the foundation of resilience. When you know that no matter what happens, you will find a way forward, fear loses its grip. To outsmart any situation, you must develop this inner strength, because strategy without resilience fails under pressure. Talent without resilience fades after setbacks. Ambition without resilience collapses at the first obstacle. Resilience is the backbone of mental mastery. It is the quiet voice that says, "Try again." It is the steady hand that rebuilds after loss. It is the calm breath taken after failure. Building resilience is not about avoiding storms. It is about learning to stand in them. And once you build that strength, you will realize no setback is permanent, no obstacle is final, no challenge is beyond growth. Are stronger than temporary defeat? No. Are stronger than temporary defeat? No. Are capable of recovery. You are able to rise repeatedly. That is resilience here. Mind becomes unbreakable in the face of any situation. Chapter 6. Harnessing the power of focus. In a world filled with constant noise, focus has become rare. Notifications, flash messages arrive. Opinions compete for attention. Endless information pulls your mind in different directions. When attention is scattered, clarity disappears. When clarity disappears, decisions weaken. When decisions weaken, results suffers. To outsmart any situation, you must learn to harness the power of focus. Focus is directed mental energy. It is the ability to choose one priority and give it full presence. Without focus, even intelligence becomes ineffective. With focus, ordinary ability becomes extraordinary. Imagine a student named Kunal preparing for an important examination. He sits at his desk with books open, but his phone lies beside him. Every few minutes, he checks messages, he scrolls through social media. He replies to notifications. After hours of sitting, he feels tired, yet little information is retained. Now imagine another student named Ria. She places her phone in another room. She sets a timer for 40 minutes. During that time, she commits to studying one topic only. When the timer ends, she takes a short break. Then she repeats. After 2 hours, she has absorbed more than Kunal did in fourth. Difference is not intelligence, the difference is focus. Your brain performs best when it concentrates on one meaningful task at a time. Frequent switching reduces efficiency. It drains energy. To train focus, begin by eliminating unnecessary distractions. Clear your workspace. Turn off non-essential notifications. Set defined time blocks for deep work. At first, your mind may resist it, may crave stimulation. But with repetition, your concentration strengthens focus. Also applies to emotional situations. Imagine being criticized during a discussion. Instead of focusing on tone or personal offense, shift attention to content. Ask yourself, what part of this feedback can improve my performance by directing focus toward growth? You reduce emotional turbulence. Consider Mira working on a long-term project. Midway, she feels overwhelmed by the size of the task. The goal appears distant. Her motivation declines. Instead of thinking about the entire journey, she shifts focus to one small step complete, one section review, one chapter. Solve one problem. Small focused actions rebuild momentum. When attention narrows to what can be done now, anxiety decreases. Focus transforms complexity into manageable effort. Another example involves financial planning. Aman feels stressed about his future. He thinks about rising costs, economic shifts, unexpected expenses. Instead of drowning in broad worry, he focuses on controllable actions, creating a monthly budget, building an emergency fund. Learning about investment. Clear focus replaces vague fear with practical movement. Focus also strengthens confidence. When you commit fully to a task and complete it, you build trust in your ability. That trust compounds over time. Imagine an athlete training for competition. If practice sessions are distracted, progress slows. If each session is intentional, performance improves rapidly. Champions are often distinguished by depth of concentration. The same principle applies in professional life. During meetings, many people listen partially while preparing responses in their minds. True focus means listening completely, observing details, understanding context. This level of attention improves communication and builds respecting relationships. Focus is equally powerful when speaking with someone. Give them full presence, maintain eye contact, avoid checking devices. Listen actively. People feel valued when they are truly heard. Strong relationships are built on focused attention. Another important aspect of focus is mental filtering. Not every thought deserves attention. Your mind generates thousands of thoughts daily. Some are productive, some are repetitive worries. If you focus on negative loops, you strengthen them. If you redirect attention toward constructive ideas, you weaken unnecessary fear. Imagine Priya preparing for a presentation. Her mind repeatedly says, "What if I forget my lines?" instead of feeding this thought, she shifts focus to preparation, practicing key points, visualizing success, reviewing material. The mind follows direction. Focus also requires energy management. Sleep deprivation weakens concentration. Excessive multitasking exhausts mental stamina. Protect your physical health. Exercise regularly. Maintain balanced nutrition. A healthy body supports a focused mind. Another example involves decision-making. Rahul faces a career choice. He hears many opinions from friends and family. Each voice pulls him differently. Instead of absorbing every external perspective, he takes quiet time alone. He lists his personal goals, his values, his strengths. He focuses on alignment rather than approval. The decision becomes clearer. Focus creates internal clarity. It reduces noise from external pressure. Training focus requires discipline. Set daily intentions. Choose 3 priorities each morning. Complete them before engaging in minor tasks. Avoid beginning your day reactively. Instead, begin intentionally. Over time, this habit sharpens mental precision. Focus also builds creativity. When your mind is not fragmented, it has space to explore deeper ideas. Imagine an artist working in uninterrupted silence, immersed fully in creation. Ideas flow naturally. Contrast this with constant interruptions. Creativity struggles to develop. Depth requires concentration. Another illustration is that of a chess player. During a match, the player studies the board carefully, anticipates moves, considers consequences. One distracted moment can cost the game. Life mirrors this principle. Modern decisions require full attention. Focus is not about rigidity. It is about deliberate choice. You choose what deserves your energy. When challenges arise, ask what is the most important element Here, where should my attention going? Conflict, focus on resolution rather than ego and difficulty. Focus on action rather than complaint. In opportunity, focus on preparation rather than fear. Shift strengthens mental command as your focus improves. You will notice time feels more productive, tasks finish faster, mistakes reduce, confidence increases. You will also experience deeper satisfaction completing meaningful work with full presence brings fulfillment. To outsmart any situation, you must control your attention. Where attention goes, growth follows. If attention is scattered, growth becomes slow. If attention is sharp, growth accelerates. Your mind is powerful, but its power depends on direction. Train yourself daily to concentrate intentionally, to block distraction, to remain present. When you master focus, you gain an advantage that few possess. You think clearly. You act precisely. You respond thoughtfully, and in a world of constant distraction, that clarity becomes your strength. Harness your focus, guard it carefully, use it wisely, because the ability to direct your attention is the foundation of mastering any situation. Chapter 7. Developing adaptive intelligence. The world does not stand still. Technology evolves, industries transform, relationships shift, circumstances change without warning. Your thinking remains rigid, you will struggle. If your thinking becomes flexible, you will thrive. Active intelligence is the ability to adjust your thoughts, behavior, and strategies according to changing conditions. It is not about abandoning your values, it is about modifying your methods. To outsmart any situation, you must become mentally flexible. Imagine a professional named Arvind who has worked in the same field for many years. He has mastered traditional methods. He feels confident in his expertise. Suddenly, new technology begins to replace old systems. Younger colleagues adapt quickly. New tools become standard. Arvind faces a choice. He can resist change and complain that the old way was better, or he can learn. At first, learning feels uncomfortable. He feels slower than others. He makes mistakes, but he continues. He attends workshops. He practices regularly. He asks questions. Within months, he regains confidence. His willingness to adapt keeps him relevant. The situation did not defeat him. Rigid thinking would have. Adaptive intelligence begins with acceptance. Change is inevitable. Resisting reality wastes energy. When something shifts, instead of asking, "Why is this happening?" ask, "How can I respond wisely?" This question moves you from victim to strategist. Consider Mira, who moves to a new city for work. Everything feels unfamiliar. Language accents differ, social norms vary. She feels isolated. She compares constantly with her previous environment. She remains uncomfortable. If she chooses curiosity, she adapts faster. She learns local customs. She builds new friendships. She explores opportunities. Within a year, she feels at home. Adaptation transforms discomfort into growth. Another example involves unexpected financial difficulty. Runs a small business. Economic changes reduce customer demand. Instead of closing operations immediately, he studies market needs. He modifies services. He offers digital options. He reduces unnecessary expenses. Gradually, the business stabilized. Flexibility saved it. Adaptive intelligence also applies to relationships. Imagine a couple where one partner experiences career pressure. Their mood changes. They become quieter. If the other partner reacts with frustration, conflict increases. But if they adapt their approach by offering support and patience, the relationship strengthens. Understanding context allows wiser response. Adaptability requires emotional balance. When ego dominates, flexibility disappears. If someone suggests a different approach, do you listen openly, or do you defend your original idea immediately? Adaptive thinkers evaluate new information calmly. They ask, "Is this perspective useful? Can this improve the outcome?" They are not attached to being right. They are committed to being effective. Another example is that of a student named Nishash. Prepares for an exam using a method that worked previously. This time, her results decline. Instead of blaming the system, she analyzes her strategy. She realizes that the exam format changed. She adjusts her preparation style. She practices new question patterns. Her improvement follows adaptation rigid. Persistence without adjustment leads to frustration. Flexible persistence leads to progress adaptive. Intelligence also strengthens leadership. A leader who insists on one method despite changing conditions loses credibility. A leader who listens, learns, and modifies strategy earns respect during a crisis. A rigid leader may freeze. An adaptive leader reassesses information and shifts direction quickly. This ability creates stability during uncertainty. Adaptation does not mean lack of identity or core values. Remain steady. Integrity, discipline, compassion, purpose. But your approach evolves. Think of a tree during strong wind. A rigid branch snaps. A flexible branch bends and survives. Mental flexibility works the same way. Another important element of adaptive intelligence is continuous learning. The moment you believe you know everything, growth stops. Curiosity keeps the mind sharp. Read regularly, explore new skills, engage in discussions with diverse viewpoints. Exposure to different ideas expands cognitive flexibility. Imagine Vikram, who works in finance but begins learning about digital technology. At first it feels unrelated. Later he realizes how technology influences financial markets. His broader knowledge allows innovative thinking. Cross-learning strengthens adaptability. Adaptive intelligence also involves scenario planning before making major decisions. Consider possible change. This plan does not succeed. What alternatives exist? If conditions improve, how can I scale? If conditions decline, how can I protect resources? Thinking ahead reduces shock. When change arrives, you are partially prepared. Another scenario involves health. A person accustomed to intense physical activity experiences injury. Instead of abandoning fitness completely, they adapt. They focus on rehabilitation. They explore alternative exercises. They strengthen areas not affected. Recovery becomes productive rather than passive. Adaptation protects momentum. It's important to note that adaptation requires humility. Accepting that you need to adjust means admitting that your previous approach may not be sufficient. Humility opens the door to growth. Stubborn pride closes. It imagines being corrected during a presentation. A rigid thinker feels threatened. An adaptive thinker listens, evaluates, and improves. Feedback becomes tool, not attack. Adaptive intelligence also improves problem solving when faced with a complex challenge. Consider multiple perspectives. Ask how someone from a different background might approach this. Ask what would happen if resources were limited. Ask what would happen if resources doubled X. Laurier. Exploring possibilities increases creativity. Over time, adaptive thinking becomes instinctive. Instead of resisting change, you anticipate it. Instead of fearing uncertainty, you explore it. Instead of clinging to comfort, you embrace development. To train adaptive intelligence, begin by stepping outside routine. Take on unfamiliar tasks. Learn skills beyond your primary field. Engage with people who think differently. Each new experience stretches your mind. Stretching creates growth. Another example is career transition. Anonia decides to shift industries mid-career. The transition feels risky. She must learn new terminology, new systems, new networks. She could remain in comfort but stagnant growth. Instead, she invests time in education. She builds connections. She accepts beginner status again. Within time, her experience from previous field combines with new knowledge. She becomes uniquely skilled. Adaptation created advantage. Life rewards flexibility. The ability to adjust quickly gives you a strategic edge. When competitors resist change, you move forward. When others complain, you innovate. When circumstances shift, you evolve. To outsmart any situation, you must be fluid, not unstable, not inconsistent, but responsive. Hold firmly to your values. Hold lightly to your methods. Adaptation is strength. It is intelligence in motion. When you develop adaptive intelligence, you no longer fear change. You recognize that change is not threat, it is invitation. Invitation to learn, invitation to grow, invitation to expand capacity. the world will continue transforming. New challenges will appear, old systems will fade, but a trained, adaptable mind remains powerful because no matter what environment surrounds you, you will adjust, you will learn, you will rise, and that is how adaptive intelligence allows you to outsmart any situation. Chapter 8, Strengthening Decision-Making. Every day you make decisions. Some are small and unnoticed. Some quietly shape the direction of your future. Some arrive suddenly and demand courage. Your life today is the result of decisions you made in the past. Your life tomorrow will be shaped by the decisions you make now. 2. Outsmart any situation. You must strengthen your decision-making ability. Indecision creates confusion. Impulsive decision creates regret. Clear decision creates progress. Strong decision-making begins with clarity of values. If you do not know what matters most to you, then every option will feel equally confusing. Imagine a young professional named Niraj, who receives 2 job offers. One offers high salary but little growth. The other offers moderate salary but strong learning opportunities. If Niraj values short-term financial gain above all, he will choose the first. If he values long-term development, he may choose the second. The right decision depends on alignment with personal priorities. When your values are clear, decisions become simpler. Write down what truly matters to you: growth, stability, freedom, contribution, family, health. When faced with a difficult choice, measure it against these priorities. Decision making also requires information. Acting without understanding increases risk. Imagine Mira planning to invest her savings. Instead of following random advice, she studies options carefully. She learns about risk. She analyzes long-term trends. She consults trusted experts. Her final decision is informed, not emotional. Information reduces uncertainty, but gathering information endlessly can also become avoidance. Overthink can paralyze action. There comes a point when you must decide with the best knowledge available. Courage completes the process. Consider Arjun, who dreams of starting his own venture. He spends months researching. He creates detailed plans. Some point he must choose stay in comfort or step into challenge. No decision guarantees complete safety. Strengthened decision-making accepts that uncertainty exists. Another key element is emotional neutrality. Decisions made during intense anger or fear often lack clarity. Imagine receiving criticism from a supervisor. In anger, you may decide to resign immediately, but if you pause and reflect the next day, you may realize growth opportunity exists. Delay important decisions when emotions are high. Calm thinking produces wiser outcomes. Decision-making also improves with reflection. Look at past choices. Which decisions led to positive results? Which led to difficulty? What patterns appear? Self-awareness strengthens future judgment. For example, Ria notices that whenever she makes quick purchases under excitement, she later regrets spending. Recognizing this pattern, she creates a rule: wait 24 hours before major purchases. Her decisions become more thoughtful. Simple rules protect against impulsive behavior. Other powerful tool is consequence visualization. Before choosing, imagine the long-term impact. If I choose this path, where will I be in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? 10 years. This perspective reduces short-term temptation. Consider Eamon offered an opportunity that promises quick financial reward but compromises his integrity. Visualizing long-term reputation damage helps him decline. Integrity guides decisions. Strong decision-makers also accept responsibility. Blaming others for outcomes weakens growth. A choice leads to difficulty. Analyze what you can learn. Mistakes become teachers. Imagine Kavya choosing a business partner without thorough evaluation. Later conflicts arise. Instead of only blaming the partner, she reflects on her own oversight. She learns to assess compatibility carefully. In the future, each lesson sharpens discernment. Discernment. Me made. Later conflicts arise. May divide. Later conflicts arise. Made no. No. Like you see, we made a Sue made seed. may si savai de si. By lie, sell me save. May say so wide, sal I'm said sarai made so wide. By wise, like I second, get it. Ka be say kiss it be sarisida kabin. I so geek it I celebs. I ka that size it again it sit it belly by we it's the great with a baby scott Making also benefits from simplicity. When overwhelmed, break the choice into smaller parts. List advantages. List disadvantages. Consider resources required. Evaluate timing. Clarity grows when complexity is organized. Involves health decisions. Rahet struggles with inconsistent habits. He wants better fitness, but feels overwhelmed by drastic plans. Instead of extreme changes, he decides to begin with small daily walks. He gradually adds strength training. He chooses balanced nutrition, each small decision compounds gradual improvement, feels sustainably in professional environments. Strong decision makers inspire confidence during crisis. Teams look to leaders for direction. A leader who hesitates excessively spreads uncertainty. A leader who evaluates quickly and communicates clearly builds trust. Even if the outcome is imperfect, decisive action maintains momentum. Decision-making also requires boundaries. Saying yes to everything leads to exhaustion. Saying no strategically protects energy. Imagine Priya, overwhelmed by multiple commitments, she feels obligated to accept every request. After reflection, she decides to accept only projects aligned with her goals. Her productivity improves, her stress decreases. Choosing what not to do is as important as choosing what to do. Another example involves relationships. When facing repeated disrespect from someone, you must decide whether to tolerate or address it. Avoiding decision prolongs discomfort. Clear communication sets expectations, strengthen decision making, empowers you to protect your well-being. Trust in yourself is essential. If you constantly seek validation from others, your confidence weakens. Advice is valuable, but final authority must come from within. Develop that internal trust by making small, independent decisions daily. Choose your schedule, intentionally choose your habits consciously. Choose your responses deliberately. Small choice strengthens self-reliance. Decision making is not about perfection. Even wise decisions sometimes lead to unexpected challenges. What matters is thoughtful intention. When you choose based on values, logic, and calm awareness, you minimize regret. Over time, you will notice improvement. You will hesitate less. You will analyze more clearly. You will recover faster from errors. Your confidence will grow because you know you can navigate complexity to outsmart any situation. You must own your choices. Every crossroad is an opportunity to define direction. Avoiding decisions allows circumstances to decide for you. Taking responsibility empowers you to shape your path. A mind that is trained to decide wisely becomes steady. It does not panic under pressure. It does not rush under excitement. It does not freeze under fear. Evaluates. It chooses. It commits. And once committed, it adapts if necessary. That is strength. Strengthened decision-making transforms uncertainty into opportunity because when you trust your ability to choose wisely, no situation feels completely overwhelming. You know that whatever comes, you can analyze, you can decide, you can move forward. Then that confidence becomes one of your greatest advantages in mastering any situation. Chapter 9. Cultivating creative problem-solving. Problems are inevitable. They appear in work. They appear in relationships. They appear in personal growth. They appear when least expected. Some problems are small and routine. Some problems are complex and life-altering. To outsmart any situation, you must cultivate creative problem-solving. Creative problem-solving is more than finding solutions. It is about seeing possibilities that others overlook. It is about generating options when none seem obvious. It is about transforming obstacles into opportunities. Imagine a small business owner named Rohan. His primary Supplier suddenly shuts down production, halts customers' demand fulfillment. Panic is the common response. But Rohan takes a step back. He evaluates alternatives. He identifies local suppliers who can meet partial demand. He negotiates temporary partnerships. He communicates transparently with clients through creative approaches. He maintains operations. He also discovers new supplier relationships that improve long-term stability. Creative problem-solving begins with a mindset of curiosity. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening?" ask, "What can I do about it?" Ask, "How can I make this situation better?" Ask, "What opportunities exist within this difficult year?" Brain begins to search for solutions rather than dwelling on obstacles. Another example is personal conflict. Mira faces tension with a coworker. The situation could escalate into arguments. Instead of reacting emotionally, she asks, "What perspective might they have? What compromise could satisfy both parties? What creative approach resolves the disagreement?" Without resentment, by exploring multiple options, she turns potential conflict into collaboration. Problem-solving also benefits from breaking challenges into smaller parts. When a task appears overwhelming, the mind often freezes. Imagine caveat task. With organizing a large event, at first, she feels paralyzed by the scale. She divides the project into sections: venue, speakers, marketing, logistics. Timeline. Each section becomes manageable. She can address one piece at a time. Progress accumulates gradually. Creative problem-solving thrives on perspective shifting. Imagine a software developer named Eamon. He encounters a recurring bug. Traditional debugging fails. Instead of repeating old approaches, he tries a completely different perspective. He tests code in unusual sequences. He simulates user behavior differently. Eventually, he identifies the root cause. Sometimes solutions appear when you change viewpoint. Another powerful technique is brainstorming without judgment. During initial problem exploration, avoid rejecting ideas. Quantity matters first. Creativity grows when ideas flow freely. Later evaluation refines solutions. Many innovations emerge from combining seemingly unrelated concepts. Consider a teacher integrating technology in classroom. By combining gaming elements with learning content, she increases engagement. The solution was creative because it combined two separate domains. Creative problem-solving also requires flexibility. Sometimes the first solution is not perfect. Be willing to adapt and refine. Imagine a marketing team launching a campaign. Initial engagement is lower than expected. Instead of abandoning the plan, they test variations, they adjust messaging, they change channels. They monitor response iteration. Strengthens results, resilience, and patient support. Creative problem-solving solutions often appear gradually. Persisting in exploration allows insight to develop. Mental exercises enhance creativity. Mind mapping, journaling, visualization, exploring alternative approaches to familiar tasks. These exercises expand thinking patterns. Creative problem-solving also requires awareness of limitations. Resources, time, skills, knowing constraints focuses energy effectively. Imagine an architect designing a building on a tight budget. Instead of seeing limitation as obstacle, they explore cost-efficient materials, modular design, sustainable alternatives. Constraints inspire innovation. Another aspect is collaboration. Different perspectives bring diverse ideas. A team brainstorming collectively often uncovers solutions an individual may miss, but collaboration requires listening and synthesis. Absorb input, evaluate objectively, integrate the best ideas. Another example is health challenges. Ria experiences chronic fatigue. Traditional methods provide partial relief. She researches nutrition, sleep patterns, stress management. She experiments with approaches. She consults specialists. Over time, she develops a personalized routine that restores energy. Creative problem-solving combines knowledge, exploration with experimentation. The willingness to try new methods distinguishes effective problem solvers. Imagination fuels possibility. Analysis ensures practicality. Another strategy is anticipating problems before they appear. Proactive problem solving reduces crisis. Imagine a project manager planning a software launch. By anticipating potential server overload, they implement scalable solutions in advance. When traffic spikes, the system holds forethought, prevents disaster. Finally, mindset matters. A fixed mindset sees problems as threats. A growth mindset sees problems as challenges and learning opportunities. Adopting growth mindset increases creativity. It encourages experimentation. It reduces fear of failure, even failed attempts provide insight. Failure becomes feedback. Feedback becomes improvement. To cultivate creative problem solving, train your mind to see beyond immediate obstacles. Ask questions, consider alternatives, combine ideas, experiment boldly. Reflect on outcomes, refine approaches. Over time, your brain will naturally approach problems creatively. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable become opportunities to innovate. Complexity becomes playground. Obstacles become training grounds. And when you master creative problem solving, you discover a profound truth: no situation is unmanageable. Your mind is capable of navigating uncertainty, exploring possibilities, generating solutions. You transform difficulties into pathways. You transform constraints into advantage. This is the power of creativity in action. This is how adaptive intelligence meets practical execution. This is how you outsmart any situation through inventive thinking. Chapter 10: Mastering Self-Discipline. Success in any endeavor is rarely accidental. Talent can open doors. Intelligence can solve problems. Strategy can navigate uncertainty. But consistent execution relies on self-discipline. Self-discipline is the ability to control impulses, to act according to long-term goals rather than immediate desires, to persist even when motivation fades, to maintain focus when distractions abound. Without disciplined effort is scattered. Progress stalls. Potential remains unrealized. Imagine a young athlete named Arjun. He dreams of running a marathon. Training is difficult. Weather is cold. Muscles ache. Motivation dips. Without discipline, he might skip practice. He might make excuses. He might delay indefinitely. With discipline, he wakes up early. He follows the training schedule. He pushes through discomfort. He tracks progress consistently. Over months, he builds endurance. He crosses the finish line. Discipline bridges desire and achievement. Self-discipline begins with clarity of purpose. When you understand why a task matters, it becomes easier to commit. Imagine Mira studying for competitive exams. She could easily procrastinate. But she reminds herself of her goal, her future career, her personal growth. Purpose strengthens resolve. Another essential aspect is habit formation. Daily habits are the architecture of discipline. Small, consistent actions compound into significant results. Instead of relying solely on motivation, create routines that automate productive behavior. For example, waking at a fixed time, exercising consistently, writing daily, setting aside uninterrupted focus blocks. Over time, these habits reduce the need for constant self-control. Discipline becomes effortless. Self-discipline also requires managing impulses. The mind constantly seeks comfort, procrastination, distraction, temptation. Notice these urges: delay gratification, prioritize long-term benefit over short-term pleasure. Imagine Ria trying to improve her diet. She craves unhealthy snacks. Instead of indulging immediately, she substitutes healthy alternatives. She plans meals in advance. She avoids keeping temptation within easy reach. This small practice strengthens her self-control. Another key element is accountability. Holding yourself responsible for actions reinforces discipline. Track progress, set measurable goals, review daily achievements. Imagine a writer committing to completing a chapter each week. By tracking progress, she holds herself accountable. Even on days without motivation, she continues. Discipline grows through repetition. Failure is part of the process. Self-discipline does not mean perfection. It means persistence. When you falter, recognize the lapse, adjust your approach, resume action without self-blame. Resilient consistency Strengthens self-trust, self-discipline also involves prioritization. Focus on what matters most. Avoid spreading energy across trivial tasks. Imagine a professional managing multiple projects by identifying high-impact tasks. First, he maximizes results. Less important work can be delegated or scheduled later. Strategic prioritization reinforces productive discipline. Another aspect is mental toughness. Discipline often requires enduring discomfort. Facing difficult tasks, resisting distractions, maintaining effort despite fatigue or boredom. The mind adapts when repeatedly challenged. Imagine a student studying late at night. Initially, concentration falters. After several weeks of persistent focus, the mind sustains attention longer. Effort builds capacity. Self-discipline also involves self-reflection. Regularly review actions and outcomes. Identify patterns of procrastination or distraction. Adjust routines and environment accordingly. This continuous feedback loop strengthens control over behavior. Another powerful technique is visualization before performing a task. Imagine completing it successfully. Visualize effort, focus, and outcome. This primes the mind for action. For example, a public speaker visualizing delivery with clarity and confidence reduces anxiety and increases preparation. Self-discipline intersects with emotional regulation. Strong discipline requires controlling impulses, controlling emotional reactions. Maintaining calm under pressure when emotions surge. Pause and choose action consciously. Another example is financial discipline. Saving consistently requires resisting temptation. Investing requires long-term perspective. Avoiding impulsive spending builds security. Self-discipline is cumulative. Small daily choices compound into significant transformation. It governs health, productivity, relationships, learning. Financial stability. Without discipline, knowledge may remain unused. Ideas may remain unrealized. Potential may remain dormant. With discipline, execution becomes reliable. Growth becomes inevitable. To cultivate self-discipline, start small. Commit to one daily habit. Track adherence. Gradually increase challenges. Maintain consistency even when motivation wanes. Over time, self-control becomes automatic. Another important factor is environment design. Surroundings to support discipline, remove distractions, create cues for productive behavior. For example, keeping a study area organized, place and exercise equipment where it is visible. Using reminders for essential tasks. Environment reinforces habit formation. Self-discipline is not punishment. It is self-leadership. It is choosing long-term benefit over short-term comfort. It is aligning actions with values. It is creating predictable momentum toward goals. Imagine a leader who consistently models discipline. Teams follow instinctively. Culture of reliability develops even in chaos. Disciplined individuals retain composure. They act deliberately. They execute strategy effectively. Self-discipline also strengthens confidence. When you know you can maintain effort despite difficulty, you trust your ability to achieve each completed task. Reinforces competence. To outsmart any situation, you must cultivate discipline in mind, body, and behavior. Is the invisible force that converts intention into action, potential into results, challenges into achievement. Without discipline, even the best plans falter. With discipline, even ordinary ability produces extraordinary outcomes. Mastery of self-discipline transforms you into someone unstoppable, someone capable of consistent action, someone who navigates distraction, someone who persists when others quit. And oneself. Discipline becomes second nature. You no longer wait for motivation. You create momentum. You define your path. You shape your future. Discipline is the backbone of mental mastery, the foundation of sustained success, the bridge between thought and accomplishment. Master it, and you will outsmart any situation with steady, deliberate power. Conclusion. The journey to outsmart any situation throughout life, you will face uncertainty, challenges, setbacks, and unexpected twists. These moments test more than your skills or knowledge, they test your mind, your resilience, and your ability to respond with intelligence and clarity. Outsmarting any situation is not about luck, nor about avoiding difficulty. It is about training your brain to act deliberately, to control impulses, to see opportunity where others see obstacle, and to maintain focus even when circumstances feel chaotic. From the first chapter, we explored the importance of self-awareness, understanding how your mind reacts under pressure, and recognizing patterns in your thoughts and emotions. Emotional control, the second chapter, showed that mastering reactions transforms potential chaos into composure, creating the space to act with clarity. Reframing challenges, as we learned in Chapter 3, allows you to reinterpret setbacks as stepping stones, giving adversity a new meaning and purpose. Strategic thinking in uncertain moments, introduced in Chapter 4, teaches that careful analysis, patience, and prioritization turn ambiguity into opportunity. Mental resilience. Chapter 5 emphasizes that persistence in the face of difficulty strengthens confidence, allowing you to recover and continue moving forward. Harnessing focus. Chapter 6 demonstrates that attention is power, and disciplined concentration amplifies intelligence and execution. Adaptive intelligence, covered in Chapter 7, reminds us that flexibility and openness to change are critical in a world that is constantly evolving. Strong decision-making, in Chapter 8, highlights the ability to act wisely under pressure, aligning choices with long-term goals. Creative problem-solving. Chapter 9 encourages innovation and unconventional thinking, showing that obstacles are often hidden opportunities. Finally, mastering self-discipline. Chapter 10 reveals that consistency, habit, and the ability to prioritize long-term gains over short-term comfort are the true drivers of achievement. Together, these 10 principles form a complete framework for mental mastery. They are interconnected. Emotional control supports focus. Resilience strengthens discipline. Adaptability enhances problem-solving, and decision-making guides strategic thinking. Each principle reinforces the others, creating a mind that is alert, flexible, confident, and powerful. Outsmarting any situation is a lifelong practice. You will encounter moments that challenge your patience, test your courage, and tempt you to retreat. But the trained mind responds differently. It pauses, assesses, adapts, and acts with purpose. Every setback becomes insight. Every obstacle becomes a challenge to grow. And every uncertainty becomes a playground for creative thinking. The true power of this journey lies not in avoiding difficulty, but in transforming your relationship with it. By applying these principles, you cultivate a mind that does not merely react, but responds intelligently. A mind that navigates complexity with composure, and a mind that turns life's challenges into opportunities for growth. Remember, the brain is like a muscle. It strengthens with deliberate practice. Each time you exercise awareness, patience, focus, creativity, and discipline, you expand your ability to handle more. You become someone who does not simply endure life, but actively shapes it in the end. Outsmarting any situation is less about the external world and more about the mastery of self. It is about cultivating habits, thought patterns, and mental resilience that allow you to move through life with confidence, clarity, and purpose. It is the realization that, no matter what occurs, you have the inner tools to navigate it successfully. Embrace this journey. Train your mind deliberately. Strengthen your habits. Refine your perspective. And you will find that no challenge is insurmountable. It's no situation too complex, and no obstacle too great. You will not merely survive life. You will outsmart it. You will not merely react. You will respond with intelligence, creativity, and unwavering confidence. You will become the master of your mind, and through that mastery, the master of your life. The end.
Kindly subscribe to my channel.